Most people think being done with something looks like an argument, a fallout, or some clear ending everyone can see. But with Sigma males, it often looks completely different. They may still show up, speak normally, and act like nothing has changed, while something underneath has already let go. That is what confuses people most. Friends may think he is distant, family may assume he is angry, and others may take it personally. But the real change usually began long before anyone noticed. These are 8 things Sigma males are completely done with, leaving even the people closest to them confused, blindsided, and wondering what changed. Number 1. Fearing the disappointment of certain people. Most men have a short list of people whose reactions carry more weight than everyone else's. It may be a parent whose approval was difficult to earn, a mentor who once believed in him, a partner he hates upsetting, or a family member who can make disagreement feel like betrayal without raising their voice. A look, a pause, or the words, "I expected better from you," can stay in his mind for days. A Sigma may organize important choices around avoiding that feeling without even noticing what he is doing. He accepts work he doesn't want, remains available when he is exhausted, avoids unnecessary conversation, or chooses the respectable path before asking whether it is actually right for him. The fear feels like responsibility, which is why it hides so well. Social approval is a real reward, and people naturally adjust behavior to protect acceptance and avoid rejection. This is not weakness unique to one type of man. It is part of being human. Then something catches the Sigma's attention. He realizes he has been reacting to disappointment that has not even happened yet. He is refusing himself before another person gets the chance. That can be a difficult moment because it reveals how much authority someone may have held without ever asking for it. The answer is not to stop caring. Some disappointment is useful information. If a partner is disappointed because he broke a promise, a friend is hurt because he repeatedly failed to show up, or a parent sees him making a mistake he is too proud to admit, independence doesn't make those concerns meaningless. The twist is that being unaffected by everyone is not strength. It can be another way of protecting the ego. A mature Sigma listens long enough to ask whether the discomfort comes from being controlled or from being corrected. Those can feel almost identical in the first few seconds. If he has caused harm, he owns it. If he accepted responsibility, he honors it. If his freedom creates a cost for people who built a life with him, their feelings deserve more than a casual, "This is just who I am." But disappointment is not always a verdict. Sometimes people are disappointed because he changed, because an old arrangement no longer works in their favor, or because the life they imagined for him is not the one he chose. Their concern may still come from love. Love, however, doesn't guarantee perfect judgment. So the Sigma begins allowing certain people to have feelings he cannot fix. A parent may need time, a friend may disagree, and a partner may not immediately understand. He can listen without handing over the decision, care without automatically obeying, and compromise without disappearing inside the compromise. The Sigma male is not done valuing the opinions of people he trusts. He is done letting the fear on their faces make choices before his own judgment gets a voice. But the next thing can quietly decide whether his work opens doors for him or for someone else. Number 2. Caring who gets the credit. Credit feels small until somebody else receives it for something you built. A man can sit in a meeting, hear his idea repeated in another person's voice, then watch the room react as though it has just heard something new. He may say nothing, but he notices who receives the praise, who gets remembered, and whose work quietly disappears into the background. Recognition matters, especially when someone is proving himself, building trust, or trying to move forward. Praise is not meaningless either. The brain responds to social approval as a form of reward, which helps explain why being seen, respected, and publicly valued can feel so powerful. For a Sigma, however, that reward often loses some of its pull over time. He sees how much energy people spend making sure their name stays attached to every success. One person interrupts to remind the group where the idea began. Another turns a shared result into a personal victory, while someone else spends more time describing the work than actually doing it. At first, he may find this irritating. Then he sees the trap. The more he needs every room to confirm his value, the more control that room has over him. So he becomes less interested in chasing every compliment. If the work is strong, the problem is solved, and the people who matter know what he can do. He may let a small piece of credit go without turning it into a battle. This is not always confidence. Sometimes a Sigma tells himself he doesn't care because asking for recognition feels uncomfortable. It is easier to call yourself humble than to risk hearing no, easier to stay quiet than to explain what you contributed, and easier to pretend the opportunity did not matter after somebody else received it. That is where this point changes direction. Being done with applause shouldn't mean being done with ownership. If someone repeatedly builds their position on his effort, receives promotions from his ideas, or leaves him carrying responsibility without authority or reward, silence is not maturity. It is teaching people that his contribution can be taken without cost. The Sigma has to know the difference between ego and value. Ego wants everybody to know he mattered. Value means the right people understand what he delivered, especially when decisions about money, trust, or responsibility are being made. He may document his work, speak privately with the person in charge, or make his role clear without turning the room into a courtroom. There is no need for a dramatic confrontation, but there is also no honor in disappearing so completely that louder people write the story for him. The payoff is not that he stops enjoying praise. Most people enjoy being recognized. The real change is that praise becomes a bonus rather than the fuel. He can let someone else enjoy a moment without feeling erased, share a win without keeping score, and protect his work when the outcome truly matters. The Sigma male is done fighting for every small bow, but he is not done making sure his quiet nature is not mistaken for free labor. Number 3. Waiting for people to change. Waiting for someone to change can look like patience, loyalty, or simply giving them another chance. But without noticing it, a man can spend years putting his own life on hold while hoping another person eventually becomes who they keep promising to be. A Sigma can wait for a partner to become more honest, a friend to become dependable, a manager to finally recognize his effort, or a relative to stop crossing the same line. There is always a reason to allow more time. They are under pressure, they have been through a difficult period, they apologized, and this time they sound more serious. Patience is not foolish. Real change is rarely straight. People move forward, fall back, become afraid, and try again. Judging someone forever by one failure would leave very few relationships standing. But a promise to change and the work of changing are two different events. For a Sigma, that difference eventually becomes impossible to ignore. He starts watching what happens after the emotional conversation ends. Does the person choose differently when the same pressure returns? Do they accept responsibility before being confronted? And are they changing their daily behavior or only improving the apology? According to self-determination theory, change is more likely to last when the person has their own reason for doing it. Pushing, threatening, or repeatedly rescuing someone may change their behavior for a while, but it cannot create real commitment when the desire to change is not coming from within. Here is the unexpected part. Sometimes the person he has been waiting for is not the one keeping him stuck. He is. As long as he says, "I can move forward once they change," he avoids making the harder decision in the present. Hope allows him to delay the loss, the confrontation, or the truth that the relationship may never become what he imagined. Potential feels safer than reality because potential has not failed yet. Eventually, the Sigma stops building permanent plans around temporary promises. He deals with people as they are today. If they change, he can notice, trust can return slowly, and a relationship can find a new shape. What he no longer does is freeze his own direction until somebody else becomes ready. This can make him too hard if he is not careful. Not every setback is proof that change is fake, and people can stumble while still moving forward. A mature Sigma looks for direction rather than perfection. Is the effort real? Is responsibility growing? Are the gaps between mistakes becoming longer? And does the person repair damage without always being chased? Those questions tell him more than one good week or one bad day. He doesn't stop believing that people can change. Some do, and sometimes they surprise everyone. He simply stops treating their future change as the price of admission to his own future. The Sigma male can care, hope, and leave room for improvement without standing in the same place forever. Number 4. Trying to make family understand them. Family can know a man longer than almost anyone and still see him through an old picture. They remember the quiet child, the difficult teenager, the brother who always gave in, the son who made one bad decision, or the man who once needed their help. Years may pass, but inside the family, those roles can stay strangely fresh. The Sigma male may spend a long time trying to update that picture. He explains why he changed direction, why privacy matters to him, why he no longer attends everything, or why the life that once suited him doesn't fit anymore. He enters the conversation believing better words will create better understanding. Sometimes they do. Families are capable of changing, and people can learn to see each other more clearly when both sides are willing to listen. But sometimes he explains the same choice for the 5th time and realizes the problem is not a lack of information. A relative may understand perfectly well what he is saying, yet still dislike what it means. If he is no longer the person who always agrees, somebody loses influence. If he no longer plays the peacemaker, another person may have to face the conflict. If he chooses a different kind of life, family members may hear criticism of the choices they made, even when he never criticized them. That is the unexpected turn. He may think they do not understand him, when some of them understand enough to know the new version will be less convenient. Still, that is not always the truth either. Family members can ask clumsy questions because they care, speak badly because they are worried, or hold on to an old picture because it takes time to accept how much someone has changed. Not every repeated question is an attempt to control him. A Sigma has to leave room for that possibility. What changes is the endless need to prove himself. He may answer honestly once, explain an important decision, and listen to real concern. What he stops doing is arriving at every family gathering ready to defend his character, as though the meal is a trial. This can bring a strange kind of relief. He no longer needs every relative to agree that he chose correctly. He can love people who see life differently, remain involved without offering full access to every decision, and accept that somebody can care about him deeply while never fully understanding how he thinks. The cost is real. When explanations stop, some distance can grow. A relative may decide he is closed off, and a conversation that could have helped may never happen because he assumed it would go nowhere. That is why the mature Sigma doesn't slam the door. He simply stops standing in it for years, asking people to approve of the room behind him. He stays open to honest interest, speaks when the relationship deserves the effort, and lets certain opinions remain unresolved. Love and understanding are not always the same thing. The Sigma male eventually accepts that, and in some families, that acceptance creates more peace than another perfect explanation ever could. But family is not the only place where people expect a clear story. The next questions often arrive with a smile, which is what makes them harder to answer without sounding defensive. Number 5. Explaining why they didn't marry, have kids, or follow the script. Society rarely hands a man a written schedule, yet most people seem to know when they believe he is late. By a certain stage, he is expected to have settled into a career, found a partner, married, built a home, raised children, and created a life that can be understood before the conversation moves to dessert. When his life doesn't match that order, the questions begin. Why did you never settle down? Do you regret not having children? Are you still alone? What happened? Some people are simply curious. They may be trying to connect and have no idea how many times he has already answered the same question. Others are looking for a reason that protects the script. Maybe he was hurt, maybe he feared commitment, maybe he worked too much, or maybe something must have gone wrong. The idea that a man could live differently without being broken can be harder for some people to accept. There's a simple reason behind this. People often follow social norms because fitting in keeps things smooth and helps them feel accepted, while someone who stands apart can make the group question what it calls normal. For many Sigma males, the first response is to explain. He talks about timing, relationships, work, family duties, missed chances, or choices that became clearer only later. Yet every answer seems to open another question. If he says he values freedom, someone assumes he is hiding loneliness. If he says he never met the right partner, another person decides he must have expected too much. If he wanted a family but life went differently, the conversation can suddenly enter a place he never offered to share. Eventually, the Sigma realizes something useful. He doesn't need to turn his life into a success story to prove that it was not a failure. Every path carries something and costs something. Marriage can offer love, partnership, family, and a shared history, while also asking for compromise and sacrifice. A life without marriage can offer freedom and flexibility, while carrying its own quiet moments and unanswered questions. Parenthood can bring meaning that is difficult to describe, yet it also brings worry, pressure, and responsibility. Not becoming a parent doesn't automatically mean an empty life, just as becoming one doesn't guarantee a fulfilled one. That balance matters because this point can easily become another form of pride. A Sigma who looks down on men who followed the usual path is doing the same thing he dislikes, only from the other side. Different doesn't mean deeper, braver, or smarter. It only means different. He may still have doubts. Mature people usually do, because every real choice closes other doors. What he stops doing is handing strangers a full report on doors they never had to walk through. He can say, "This is how my life turned out," or "This was the right choice for me." Then allow the silence after it to belong to the person who asked. The Sigma male doesn't need everyone to understand the whole story. The people closest to him may know it, while everyone else can accept that a personal life is not a public question waiting for a better answer. Number 6. Feeling obligated to attend every gathering. Some invitations feel good before the date even arrives. A close friend's birthday, an important family event, a meal with people he genuinely enjoys. These are not duties. They are part of having a life connected to other lives. Then there are invitations he accepts because saying no feels more tiring than going. He already knows how the evening may unfold, the familiar small talk, the same personal questions, the long stretch where everyone looks at a phone. Yet he still agrees because absence seems harder to explain than attendance. A Sigma male may do this for years. He shows up tired, remains longer than he wants, then returns home feeling as though he gave away an evening without offering anyone his best attention. Eventually, free time begins to feel less empty. A quiet day may include family, a project, work around the house, a hobby, or simply a chance to let his mind settle. Once time starts feeling valuable in that way, automatic yeses become harder to give. The Sigma becomes more selective, but this is where the story can easily be told the wrong way. Skipping everything is not freedom. Strong social connection matters for both mental and physical health, and a man who slowly removes himself from every relationship may not notice what he has lost until those connections are difficult to rebuild. So the point is not that he stops attending gatherings. He stops treating all gatherings as equal. A large event where he barely speaks to the host may matter less than a quiet visit a week later. He may skip one dinner but answer when a friend truly needs him, or choose a smaller gathering where real conversation is possible. Some people will still dislike the change. They may say, "You never come anymore," even when they rarely contact him outside those events. His absence becomes noticeable because his old presence was considered automatic. Before answering, he begins asking himself something more useful than, "Do I feel like going? Does this relationship matter? Does this moment matter? And will I be glad I showed up once I am there?" That last question is important because mood is not always a wise guide. There are evenings he doesn't want to attend, but later feels grateful he did. There are older relatives he visits because time is limited, friends he supports because relationships need effort, and family events that matter more in memory than they did on the calendar. Comfort can quietly shrink a life if it is allowed to make every decision. That is the bad side the Sigma has to watch. If every invitation feels like an invasion, if everyone must meet him only on his terms, or if protecting energy becomes a polished reason for never making an effort, he may end up protecting himself from the very connection he still needs. The goal is not fewer people at any cost. It is less empty attendance and more real presence. When the Sigma male says yes, he wants the yes to mean something. When he says no, he doesn't need a fake emergency or a long apology. And when a relationship matters, he shows up even when the sofa was easier. But another habit hides in plain sight, and it may be controlling more of his life than he realizes. Number 7. Being available by phone the way they used to be. A ringing phone used to mean one thing. Someone wanted to speak with you. Now it can feel like a demand for an immediate answer, followed by a message asking whether you saw the call. Then another message on a different app when you do not respond quickly enough. Without anyone formally agreeing to it, constant access has become normal. A Sigma may spend years accepting that arrangement because fast replies look responsible. He answers work messages during dinner, takes calls while trying to rest, and pauses a real conversation because somebody somewhere else has decided they need him now. He tells himself it will only take a minute. But the strange thing about a minute is that it rarely returns alone. A quick call becomes half an hour. One message leads to 5 more, and the thought he was working through is gone by the time he puts the phone down. One study explains this well. The attentional cost of receiving a cell phone notification found that alerts can disrupt focus even when people ignore them, while reducing those interruptions can improve performance and lower strain. For the Sigma male, the problem is not the phone itself. It is borrowed urgency. Every caller arrives with their own mood, schedule, and reason why the moment matters. If he responds to all of them immediately, other people begin deciding what deserves his attention before he has a chance to decide for himself. So his habits change. He lets some calls ring, finishes the meal before replying, keeps work notifications away from the evening, and becomes more comfortable answering properly later rather than answering badly now. Some people take this as a message, even when he never meant it that way. They remember when he always picked up, so the delay can feel like rejection. A partner may think he has become less open, a friend may stop calling, or a family member may wonder whether they still matter. That reaction should not simply be dismissed. Silence communicates too. A Sigma who never replies, makes people chase him, or acts proud of being unreachable is not protecting his time. He is creating confusion and asking others to accept it. There are also people whose calls matter more. Children, partners, older parents, close friends, and real responsibilities do not always arrive at a convenient time. Being dependable means there will be moments when his plans are interrupted because the relationship matters more than his routine. The difference is that every person no longer receives the same level of access. He can be fully present with his family without answering every work message, and he can protect a focused hour without behaving as though the people he loves are a burden. That is the real payoff. He is not trying to become harder to reach. He is trying to become easier to be with. When he speaks to someone, he wants to be there rather than half listening while waiting for the next vibration. When he rests, he wants his mind to receive the message that the day has actually slowed down. The Sigma is not done communicating. He is done treating every notification like a vote on where his attention should go. And that leads to the final point, because many of these old habits survive for one reason. somewhere inside, a man believes that if he behaves correctly long enough, life will eventually repay him fairly. Number 8. Expecting fairness from life. Many people grow up believing in a quiet deal they were never actually offered. Work hard, and you will be rewarded. Treat people well, and they will treat you well. Stay loyal, and loyalty will return. Make the right choices, and life will eventually place the right result in your hands. Sometimes that happens. Then a hardworking person is overlooked, a loyal employee is replaced, a good partner is betrayed, or someone who followed every rule faces a loss that makes no sense. The Sigma male may struggle with that more than he admits. He replays the event, checks what he missed, and waits for life to balance the account. It is difficult to accept an unfair result when he honestly tried to do the right thing. Psychologists have a name for this. People naturally want to believe the world gives everyone what they deserve. That belief can provide order and hope, but unfair events can feel deeply threatening when they break the story. At first, the lesson may sound dark. Life is not keeping score. Good people can lose, dishonest people can win. Apologies may never arrive, and the years someone gave may not be returned in the form they expected. But this is not where the Sigma becomes bitter. That is the obvious ending, and it is the wrong one. A mature Sigma expects less fairness from life without lowering his standards. He doesn't keep his word because he expects the universe to reward him. He keeps it because he wants to be a man whose word has value. He doesn't treat people well as a hidden payment toward future kindness. He does it because another person's poor behavior doesn't need to decide his character. This changes the question from, "Why did life do this to me?" to, "What can I do from here?" That shift is the payoff. He cannot rewrite the unfair workplace, the failed relationship, the missed chance, or the betrayal, but he can decide whether the event becomes a permanent home. He can leave, rebuild, learn what he ignored, protect himself better, or stop waiting for an apology that has already taken too much time. There is a danger on the other side. If the Sigma expects unfairness everywhere, he may stop trusting good people before they have done anything wrong. He can become so determined not to be fooled that he mistakes warmth for weakness, caution for wisdom, and cynicism for experience. That is not growth. It is disappointment still making his decisions. The point is not to expect the worst. It is to stop demanding that life reward every good act and punish every bad one on a schedule he can understand. Fairness matters precisely because it is not automatic. People have to choose it. So the Sigma male chooses it where he can, protects himself where he must, and keeps moving when the result doesn't match the effort he gave. He is not done believing in good people. He is not done helping, loving, working, showing up, or trying to do the right thing. He is done believing those choices guarantee an easy outcome. Strangely, that doesn't make life feel emptier. It makes life feel less personal. Good moments become something to appreciate rather than something he was owed. Difficult moments become problems to face rather than proof that he was singled out, and his character finally belongs to him instead of depending on what the world gives back. If you are a Sigma, which of these did you stop doing first? Let me know below. Growing wiser doesn't mean caring less. It means knowing what deserves your effort, what belongs to someone else, and what you can finally put down. And if this spoke to you, subscribe and stick around. As always, stay solid and keep evolving.